About the book.
Yes.
I mean, interestingly, these days it's increasingly relevant as to who has written the book rather than what the book is about. So before COVID, it was more difficult, and I had directed a movie also called Remember Amnesia. But I realized at that time that even if you have picture and craft with you, you can't really make anything viral. If it is gonna be viral, it's going to be viral. And then came the virus, literally. So then I started making these COVID videos, and then everything seems to be going away, things getting better. I was about to say in Hindi कि दबा के कब्र में चले गए न दुआ न सलाम, थोड़ी सी देर में क्या हो गया ज़माने को. But then came the Omicron scare, then came this China virus scare. So I was educated at the expense of Indian taxpayers, so I'm happy to have been of help. So regarding this novel, it's actually I just thought about the tagline as I was driving, and the tagline also relates to the pandemic. Means I don't want to keep talking about the pandemic. Means I assure you that is a thing of the past, but that is sort of it looks like I'm a one-trick pony, or that's my claim to fame. So I sort of falling back on that. But going back to the pandemic era, I just thought about a tagline for this novel. It's called A Match Made in Mumbai. It was written a while ago, but I've re-edited it. It takes a refreshing look at Mumbai in year 2000. I mean, not everybody had cell phone. Common sense was on the way out, and the digital revolution was on the way in. Really speaking, the life was not much different then. Means here, if you are waiting for a meeting at 6 p.m., you get a text at 5:55 saying that arriving in 1 hour. Previously, people would just come 1 hour late, and you wouldn't even know about it. But there was some kind of beauty to it. There was a charm. Everybody was late. So I always used to say Bombay seems to be the only city where everybody is in hurry but nobody is on time. So this novel happens in year 2000, and it deals with some young kids. There are 2 guys and there are 3 girls. Now, as you know, I always say that Indian parents are almost as moronic as Chinese parents because they are so involved in their kids' lives. So they don't want their kids to be happy. They want their kids to be married, and they want their kids to be married to the people of their choice. So in this book, there are kids who have their own choices, parents have their own choices, and it happens that both the parties not knowing the choices are the same. So it's a drama which it's a reach, but I would have said that maybe P.G. Woodhouse would have written. Now it is extremely difficult for somebody like me to claim to have written a novel that P.G. Woodhouse might have written. But what I learned is, like, if you are going to aspire for something, then why not aspire for the thing that is the highest? And coming back to my tagline for this book is dedicated to India का public, कि कहते हैं ना public है वो सब जानती है. So this is my tagline for this book now. This is a book for intellectuals who yet don't know that they are intellectuals. So the book is written in like a very, my style, if you have watched me or followed my videos, my style is simple and direct, and no bunkers, no beating around the bush, a little bit rude, and I talk from my heart, eye to eye. But here the book is written in very elegant, very eloquent, very esoteric, very erudite, very different, very effusive sort of flowing language. But the basic plot is there, and the basic plot is there's just too many things. And there's a guy, the main character, I mean there are many main characters, but there's a doctor who's a professor of anatomy. He's a nice guy, but he just wants to be left alone. So he doesn't like to have conversation with people. So he would have some stock phrases, like he would say a fast train runs faster than the slow train, and he would just say that as if it means something, and if it happens to make sense, it happens to make sense, otherwise it doesn't. So he's the main character. He has 2 daughters, and they're trying to get him married. And then we have his brother-in-law, and I can say about him that the character that I've written, that any situation, if you want to make it worse, this guy can do that. So he can clinch defeat from jaws of victory. So we have, like, this novel is packed with characters like that, the storyline is there, and it also has like a lot of witty one-liners and very complex English. So I hope you enjoy that, and we will be releasing it by book order, and it will be available on Amazon, and it will be available, I think, also for Kindle. Now, people who have followed me, I keep saying that I was educated at the taxpayer's expense. So you don't really have to buy it for me, you know. If one of your friends tells you that it is a nice novel, you can go out and buy it, you know. And if you like it, then tell your other friends that you liked it. And like I use the same tagline during my movie, if you don't like the novel, just tell your enemies to read it, means, you know. But just tell somebody you go ahead and read the novel. So at this point of time, Parul, you want me to take any questions?
Yes. No, but before that, we would also want to know जो आपकी journey रही है films को लेकर, writing को लेकर. You have been also into acting yourself. तो थोड़ा उसके बारे में बताइए, पूरा process, being a doctor, now being an actor, writer, author, film director, producer. आपने इतने चीजें आपने handle की है while being a doctor. So how कितना easy या कितना difficult रहा?
Well, I mean, I was like always a storyteller. तो स्कूल के ज़माने से मेडिकल कॉलेज में ड्रामा चलते थे, स्ट्रीट प्लेज होते थे. तो बाद में मैंने कहा बॉलीवुड के साथ भी ताल्लुकात थे. तो बॉलीवुड में मैं देखता था वो लोग कैसा करते हैं, 600 लोग, 300 लोग इस तरफ है, 300 लोग इस तरफ है, और एक दूसरे के ख़िलाफ़ काम कर रहे हैं. तो मैंने सोचा अगर हम लोग मेडिकल साइंस में जैसा सोचते हैं, वैसा अभी आपको पैंडेमिक का एक्सपीरियंस होगा तो आपको पता होगा हम डॉक्टर लोग भी सोचते नहीं है, कुछ भी कर देते हैं. लेकिन अगर जैसा मेडिकल साइंस में सोचते हैं वैसा अगर सोच लिया तो मूवीज़ बना सकते हैं. इसलिए मैंने 3-4 मूवीज़ बनाए, और मेरे फैमिली ने भी बहुत एनकरेजमेंट दी. उन्होंने कहा तू बना यार रवि, लोग कुछ भी देखते हैं, तू बनाता जा मूवी. तो ऐसा देखा आपने, तो मूवीज़ वैसे कुछ भी होते हैं. तो वैसे 4 मूवी बनाए हैं अब तक, चारों अंग्रेज़ी में है, और पहले 3 में मैंने एक्टिंग भी किया था. चौथी जरा मर्डर मिस्ट्री थी. उसमें ऐसा था कि वो डॉक्टर शायद अपने बीबी का मर्डर कर देता है, तो साला उसमें मुझे काम नहीं करना था, तो मैंने उससे दूसरा एक प्रोफेशनल एक्टर को ले लिया. मैं ही ज़्यादा उससे अच्छा काम करता था, लेकिन वो छोड़ दो. तो वो अभी मूवी भी शायद OTT प्लेटफॉर्म पे आएंगे. ऐसा नहीं है कि अभी भारत की जनता के लिए कुछ किया है तो कुछ बेच के रहूँगा, ऐसा नहीं है. क्योंकि एक शायर कहता है कि हमेशा ऐसा कुछ होता रहता है ना. वो कहते हैं ना कि घर थे, घरों पर नाम थे, नाम के साथ ओहदे थे, बहुत तलाश की कोई इंसान न मिला, मोहब्बत में ये दिखावे की दोस्ती न मिला, अगर गले नहीं मिलता तो हाथ भी न मिला, ये शहर है ये नुमाइश लगी हुई है कोई, जो आदमी भी मिला बन के इश्तहार मिला. So everybody is trying to advertise something, everybody is trying to sell something. This, I think, a book that I'm telling you for your own good, that you might enjoy it, watch my movies. Like if you are used to my brand of humor, if you like it, I think you're going to like this too. This is in a different language. Most of my videos were in Marathi and Hindi. Means I was making them in English too, but people don't like to listen to this controversial stuff in English. And you can do Sholay, you can do Basanti, you can do Thakur in English. So this is in English, this is in a different language. But I'm hoping that somebody will consider to translate this novel into Hindi. I could do it myself, but I'm a Maharashtrian guy. And typically when Marathi people speak Hindi, you get the feel of like Dushyasan and Draupadi, with Maharashtrian people being the Dushyasan and Hindi language being Draupadi. But if somebody wants to translate it into Hindi, they could do it. I could translate it into Marathi myself. So the name of the book is A Match Made in Mumbai. And India's wedding season is maybe makes more money than Bollywood. There was like a totally silly couple of serials on Netflix about matchmaking. They were like too silly to even talk about it. But it had so many views because all the Indian parents and older people, ओके, वो सब उनका चक्कर चालू रहता है कि ये इनको कोई लड़की देखी, लड़का देखा तो उनके मन में चालू होता है कि इसका अभी इसके साथ सेटिंग करना है, उसके साथ सेटिंग करना है. उनका चालू रहता है पेरेंट्स का हमेशा. वो लोग सोचते हैं कि नाम क्या रखना है. इसलिए एक मैंने वीडियो बनाया था बच्चों के वैक्सीन के बारे में. मैंने कहा साला इंडिया में माँ बाप ही सब करते हैं ना, क्या बच्चे किधर जाना है, किधर पढ़ना है, किससे दोस्ती करनी है, किससे शादी करनी है, कब बच्चे करने हैं, कैसे करने हैं, वो सब माँ बाप ही बोलते हैं. तो माँ बाप को पूछो ना वैक्सीन देना है या नहीं देना है. तो तो ऐसा मैंने एक बनाया था। तो इसके ऊपर ये है कि माँ बाप कैसा बच्चों की लाइफ में खिलवाड़ करते हैं। मतलब देखो, माँ बाप अपने बच्चों के लिए हमेशा अच्छा ही चाहते हैं, लेकिन वो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू अलग होता है कि बच्चे क्या अच्छा समझते हैं और माँ बाप क्या अच्छा समझते हैं। मेरे माता पिता भी अभी आने वाले हैं यहाँ पे, वो अभी भी मुझे बोलते हैं कि ऐसा करो वैसा करो। तो मेरे पिताजी मम्मी से कह रहे थे कि जब ये 2 साल सा था तब से इसने आपका कभी भी सुना नहीं है, तो आप थकते नहीं लेकिन उसको बोलती रहती हो कि ये कर वो कर। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन?
Of course, I have a question, sir. This book is based on real life characters, or like you are just like अपने को create create
No, I think, means they say like that the real life is stranger than fiction. So we always get inspiration from real life. And interestingly, the main character, the doctor, are sort of based on me because he is very resourceful, uh, uh, very witty, sort of one-liner. So some characters are like drawn, inspiration taken from real life, but the story is purely fictional. Means I think it's almost like a farcical story. I don't think you would have seen anything like that in Indian fiction. That type of a story. It's very different. Like it's almost like if you have read Blanding's Castle by or like Leave It to Peace by P.G. Buddha. So that type of it's like a comical drama. You might see it in a Hindi movie. You might see in an English novel, but you would not see it in a Indian English by an Indian author in English. You won't see that.
Are you, as you just told me, you are also planning to make it Hindi, like get more connection with people or like, are you planning something like that?
I would hope to, but I think like most Indians now speak English, and Hindi would be, I have never read a Hindi book in my life. Really, I can speak Hindi well, but I've never read a Hindi book. I can also speak Urdu, but ऐसा हिंदी बुक पढ़ने में थोड़ी डिफिकल्टी होती है. So I don't know how would that go and whether some of the humor will translate. Means I'll give you an example. There is a girl, and she asked this doctor. She said, "Tell me how an ordinary doctor would treat it." He says, "I have no clue." She says, "What do you mean? You are a doctor, right?" He says, "Yeah, but I have no clue what an ordinary doctor will do." She said, "Oh, you are claiming to be extraordinary. So tell me something that you would do that an ordinary doctor would not do." The doctor answers, "Nothing." But he says, "I